Call or visit a Spectrum store today.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Good morning, I'm Bree Driscoll, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. A final scramble before sweeping new reciprocal tariffs take effect tomorrow. The Senate is expected to take up a resolution today aimed at reversing the original tariffs placed on Canadian goods. A handful of Republicans say they might join Democrats in supporting it. The president is facing a crucial test of his political momentum today. A state Supreme Court race in Wisconsin is viewed as a referendum on the White House. Elon Musk has already spent more than $20 million to help the president's preferred candidate in Wisconsin. And in Florida, voters will fill 2 vacant congressional seats in heavily Republican districts. If Democrats flip either of those seats, that will threaten the Republicans' razor-thin majority in the House. Take a look at this dramatic video of a roof being ripped off of a mobile home in Michigan. Severe weather is hitting much of the Midwest today and tomorrow. Strong winds, thunderstorms, hail, and possible tornadoes are expected before the storm moves east. Our Spectrum meteorologists will have an update in just a moment. And we're seeing new photos from a home where a man says he was held captive by his stepmother for 20 years. He escaped by setting his living space on fire and was rescued by emergency workers. Police say the stepmother has been charged with assault, kidnapping, and cruelty. Her lawyers deny the claims. That's your Spectrum News in 90.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the One's forecast. Pleasant behind yesterday's frontal system that brought us some severe thunderstorms across the eastern half of the country. And we have temperatures right around average for this time of year in most areas, in the low 70s to the upper 70s down in Atlanta. And we're going to be in the 90s once again across the Tampa region. But as we get into the overnight hours tonight, we have another severe weather threat developing. We'll talk about that in more detail coming up in 10 minutes.
Everyone, I'm Bree Driscoll, and thanks so much for joining us here on Spectrum News. Today is Tuesday, April 1st. It's a critical day for President Donald Trump. He's facing a political test from voters in Wisconsin and Florida, and he's facing another test from members of his own party who could vote to block tariffs on Canada. Tomorrow, the president's new reciprocal tariffs will take effect, but it's unclear what countries will be impacted and by how much. We do know he'll host a news conference in the White House Rose Garden. World leaders and traders will watch the event closely. Stocks rallied at the closing bell yesterday, but finished the first quarter with its worst slump in years. Spectrum's Angie Gonzalez has reaction from lawmakers.
In the week since President Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs on goods imported to the U.S. from Canada and Mexico, a handful of Republicans, along with Democrats, have voiced their concern about the negative impact those taxes might have on their constituents.
As the president has admitted, tariffs will create pain for some businesses.
He is tanking the economy, and it's going to get worse because no businesses are spending.
Those tariffs are set to take effect Wednesday after twice being delayed. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine is sponsoring legislation to put an end to the proposed tariffs on Canadian goods, citing the detrimental impact it could have on the U.S. economy. Given the current balance of power in the Senate, 4 Republicans would need to vote with all Democrats to pass the measure, which would then face another uphill battle in the Republican-controlled House. The vote, however, will show whether members of Trump's own party are willing to split with the president on this issue.
I think on Wednesday what we're going to see is a very clear policy that says we want businesses to invest in America, and if you don't invest here, and if you're not doing what's right for the American worker, you're going to pay the price.
Wednesday, the president is also expected to announce a new round of tariffs on countries that have implemented their own tax on U.S. goods since he began announcing added taxes on foreign imports in February.
Whatever they charge us, we charge them, but we're being nicer than they were.
Countries like South Korea, China, and Japan say they're planning a joint response to a separate group of tariffs on auto imports the president announced last week. Japan's prime minister says his government is making a last-ditch effort to get an exemption. Exports from Toyota and Honda are major drivers of the Japanese economy. South Korean automaker Hyundai has also warned U.S. dealers it is evaluating its pricing strategy in the face of tariffs set to take effect Thursday. In Washington, Angie Gonzalez, Spectrum News.
The president is also facing a critical test at the voting booth today. A state Supreme Court race in Wisconsin is viewed as a referendum on the White House. Elon Musk has already spent more than $20 million to help the president's preferred candidate, Brad Schimmel, who is facing off against Susan Crawford. The winner will decide the ideological makeup of a court likely to decide on key issues in the battleground state. And in Florida, voters will fill 2 vacant congressional seats in heavily Republican districts. They will vote on replacements for former Representatives Matt Gaetz and Mike Waltz. If Democrats flip either of those seats, that will threaten the Republicans' razor-thin majority in the House. Spectrum meteorologists are tracking severe weather across the U.S. today. Take a look at this school in Alabama, damaged by a suspected tornado. April is starting with the threat of severe weather today and into tomorrow for portions of the country. Meteorologist Ramel Carpenter joins us now. Ramel, what are some of the impacts we could be seeing from this system over the next few days?
Yeah, this is going to be a multi-day event, and we're expecting damaging winds to be the main concern like we saw yesterday, but also for large hail and tornadoes, especially in this area tonight in orange. This is a level 3 enhanced risk across Kansas and portions of Oklahoma as we transition into the next 24 to 48 hours. And the time frame for this looks to be around midnight to 5 a.m. So you definitely want to have multiple ways of receiving severe weather alerts before going to bed tonight. And the greatest risk for tornadoes is going to be in this area in dark red. Of course, the possibility remains well to the north of that as well. And the threat will continue to work its way eastward as we transition into the day on Wednesday and Thursday. And we'll also have some snowfall associated with this. So a little bit of everything, once again, associated with this storm system. Bree?
All right, meteorologist Ramel Carpenter. Thank you very much, Ramel. New details in a shocking story in Connecticut. A man says he was held captive by his stepmother for 2 decades. This morning, we're getting a look inside the home the alleged torture took place. Our Jenna Enoch joins me now with the latest. Jenna, these images are disturbing.
Bree, well, the man says he spent the last 20 years confined and locked inside a single room inside a home in Waterbury, Connecticut. And the only way he got out was by setting his room on fire. These are those new images the police department released of the inside of the home where the now 32-year-old man spent 2 decades of his life locked in a room. You can see the stairs, a room cluttered with belongings. And just last month, the alleged victim set fire to the home, starting that fire with a lighter, hand sanitizer, and printer paper in the upstairs room of that home as a desperate bid for freedom. Well, according to the victim's attorney, he was living in fear for years, and when police found him, he weighed just 70 pounds. His teeth were decaying, and he appeared dirty and disheveled. Bree?
And we're learning new details, Jenna, that the victim survived on very little food and water over the 20 years that he was locked in that room.
Bree, you're right. The alleged victim said he survived each day on 2 sandwiches, egg salad, tuna or peanut butter, and a small amount of water. Well, by the time he was a teenager, he was constrained to his room 22 to 24 hours a day. Despite 2 wellness checks by the state's Department of Children and Families and police visits in 2024, the alleged mistreatment went undetected. The victim's father passed away in 2024, leaving the stepmom as the sole caretaker, and that's when investigators say the abuse got more restrictive. The stepmom, 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan, pleaded not guilty Friday to charges including assault, kidnapping, and cruelty. A judge denied the state prosecutor's request to place Sullivan under house arrest, instead ordering her to wear an electronic monitoring device while she's out on bail. Bree?
Jenny Enoch, thank you very much. Coming up on Spectrum News, sticker shock, how the Trump administration's 25% tariffs could impact you if you're in the market for a new car or even if you're buying used.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
Bring it to the party, bring it to the top, bring it to the party. Enjoy, unwind, connect with Spectrum TV On Demand. From the latest hit movies you've been waiting to watch to your favorite comfort shows and more, all available instantly for you to stream. Create the all-around entertainment experience you've always wanted with Spectrum TV On Demand. Browse over 80,000 on-demand titles today.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. We ended the month of March with some active weather, and that trend is set to continue into the first couple of days of April. But the last 24 hours had some unsettled conditions with severe thunderstorms and some much-needed rainfall across the southeastern U.S. With drought conditions continuing the last several months, this rainfall helps out with that, but more importantly, it helps wash away a lot of that pollen we have been dealing with in this part of the country. Had some record-setting pollen counts in Georgia and portions of South Carolina the last few days, and this rain helps wash away a good majority of that. But across the northeastern United States, this also provided us some much needed drought relief as well, with moderate to extreme drought conditions the last few months across New Jersey. But the severe weather component, the main threat was damaging winds, and we have plenty of damaging wind reports all across the southeastern United States and as far north as portions of Pennsylvania and into New Jersey as that initial line worked its way off the eastern coast. And it's going to continue to push to the east, and our next storm system develops into the central plains, and as where our severe weather threat is going to be late tonight, not ideal timing by any means, and the threat's going to be a level 3 for portions of Kansas and Oklahoma, which does include the Wichita region, Oklahoma City. Kansas City is on that level 2 slight risk for severe thunderstorms, and once again, damaging winds are the main concern, with large hail a possibility as well as that storm system really gets going, and then the threat for tornadoes will be highest in that level 3 enhanced risk across central Kansas and portions of northern Oklahoma as well. So make sure you have multiple ways of receiving severe weather alerts before going to bed tonight. The timing of this is certainly going to be between about midnight and 5 a.m. Wednesday morning. And on the colder side of this, we do have some significant snowfall possible across the northern plains into Minnesota, parts of Wisconsin as well, where we could easily see around 6 to 12 inches of snowfall by the time we get towards Wednesday afternoon. So here we are right around midnight. That line is going to develop and continue to work its way across Missouri into portions of Iowa and Nebraska, and eventually work its way eastward, where our severe weather threat will continue, and we'll talk about that in detail coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones.
And here's a look at what you need to know this morning. A final scramble is underway ahead of tomorrow's planned unveiling of President Donald Trump's sweeping new reciprocal tariffs. The Senate is expected to take up a resolution today aimed at blocking the tariffs on Canadian goods. 3 marquee special elections are being held today, one for a swing seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. President Trump and Elon Musk are backing the conservative nominee. And in Florida, voters will fill 2 vacant congressional seats in heavily Republican districts. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. Trump administration says it mistakenly deported a father from Maryland to a mega prison in El Salvador because of an administrative error. The man was granted protected status in 2019 by an immigration judge that barred the federal government from sending him to El Salvador. In a court filing, the Trump administration claims he was not on the original flight manifest. The administration says it cannot bring the man back because he is now in Salvadorian custody. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker continuing his marathon speech overnight.
It should not be possible in America for one single man, even an elected president, to stop funds which Congress has already allocated.
Democratic senator kicked off his address yesterday evening. The address aims to protest actions taken by the president's current administration. So far, Booker has called out several of President Donald Trump's actions, including his constant threat to withhold congressional funding. His speech will keep the Senate floor open for as long as he continues speaking. The cost of goods has increased over the past few years, and now automobiles could be next. President Donald Trump's 25% tariff takes effect on Thursday. As Spectrum's Jazz Kang reports, it could impact all car buyers.
Like many Californians, Ernest Riggs is in the market for a new car. But with President Donald Trump's latest executive order, he's unsure of what to do next.
The uncertainty on so many different levels right now, I can't see jumping into any type of purchase of any kind.
Buying a new car will be different in the coming months after President Donald Trump made this announcement on Wednesday.
A 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States.
Ernest has been looking for a specific vehicle and seen how the tariffs have impacted the process over the past couple of months.
They said that they were holding off sending in vehicles over here because they were waiting to find out what the tariffs are going to be.
The president delivered on a campaign promise of putting tariffs on imported cars and parts because he says it'll help spur growth in the auto industry.
It's about making America great again, making it strong and prosperous.
But someone will have to pay for the added costs, says President of Stutzman Public Affairs, Rob Stutzman.
No matter what the industry, these tariffs are going to get passed on to consumers in higher prices. So it's hard for me to imagine that the dealers will have any, and the manufacturers will have any option but to pass on these costs.
The Kelley Blue Book says the average price of a new car right now is around $48,000. And with the tariffs, that could go up by between $3,500 and $12,000. The tariffs could also make it more expensive for used cars, since demand is expected to go up to avoid that 25% increase, which will also be applied to car parts like brakes and transmissions. But this could be a short-term help for some local dealerships. Alex Manos owns the Beverly Hills Car Club in downtown LA, where he buys and sells classic cars. Since a lot of them are imported, Alex says business has increased lately.
So in the last 90 days, we've seen people looking to restore cars, people buying cars, collectors locally, instead of looking overseas, been buying domestically, which has been kind of awesome.
The tariffs will only impact cars that arrive in the country starting on April 2nd. So any vehicles that are here now are exempt from that 25%.
I have a feeling it's going to be a positive impact because people are going to buy now and know there's going to be an increase in value.
But for Ernest, adding the potential increase for the price of a car to an already expensive cost of living is concerning.
We really don't know how deep our pockets are going to get hit, and there's no answer, no real clear answers that's being given to anyone.
Ernest hopes he'll get some answers on that sooner than later. For Spectrum News, I'm Jazz Kang.
The restaurant chain Hooters files for bankruptcy. The decision comes just 1 year after dozens of locations were closed due to rising food and labor costs. The owners will sell the remaining 100 restaurants to 2 franchise groups, including one backed by its founders. Last year, a host of chains filed for bankruptcy, including TGI Fridays and Red Lobster. A first-of-its-kind space flight. Just ahead on Spectrum News, a look at the latest SpaceX launch and where the crew is heading.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
Have you seen my phone?
Yeah, it's with mine.
What's going on here, buddy?
I'm becoming a Kung Fu master.
Huh.
We have to pass this wireless speeds, right?
Yeah, we've got Spectrum.
Well, I used it to absorb hundreds of years of Kung Fu knowledge in like 20 minutes.
I don't think it works that way.
Oh, it does. Hey, what's our nunchuck situation? Don't worry, I'll go find some.
Master anything with the fastest wireless speeds. And internet customers get one mobile line included for 12 months with Spectrum.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. It's the first day of April, and it's going to be an active start to the month with multiple rounds of severe weather expected from the Midwest to the eastern half of the country as we get into the end of this week. And this is going to be bringing the damaging winds, large hail, and even the possibility for tornadoes as we transition into the overnight hours tonight. And that same storm system is going to be bringing some snowfall for parts of the northern plains, adding up to around 6 to 12 inches of snowfall for the first couple of days of April. And elsewhere across the southern portions of the United States, we're dealing with a big time warm up, temperatures getting into the 90s for the first time in 2025. So we're going to be climbing into the upper 70s, low to middle 80s across the southern plains, upper 80s in Tampa, upper 70s across the Atlanta region. And we'll see those temperatures warm up big time as we transition into our Wednesday for the halfway point in this week, getting into the low 90s in Tampa, 93 the forecasted high for Wednesday afternoon. And we'll be in the low to middle 70s across the central U.S. and approaching the low 80s in the Ohio Valley as well. So temperatures are going to be all over the place, especially with some wintry weather across the northern plains with that particular storm system that we're watching across the Rockies and working its way into the central portions of the country. And as we transition into the day on Wednesday, we're going to keep a level 3 risk for severe thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley, parts of the Great Lakes region stretching down into the Mississippi River Valley as well. This does include St. Louis, portions of Kentucky and Tennessee as well. And the time frame for this looks to be early in the day as well as the afternoon and evening hours as a frontal system begins to develop and track eastward as well. And it's going to be eventually bringing the threat for severe thunderstorms in this area in yellow, a level 2 slight risk for Thursday, which could get upgraded to a level 3 in some communities depending on how strong that line is going to be and if it holds together. So we'll break it down with Futurecast. You'll notice by Wednesday morning, we're going to be dealing with some active weather across the Great Lakes region. This does include Chicago over towards Indiana as well, and eventually work its way eastward. And we'll see a broken line of thunderstorms develop, and this will be bringing that threat for severe thunderstorms, possibility for tornadoes, large hail, and some strong winds over 60 miles per hour. Again, this system has a lot of wind energy associated with it, so it is going to be bringing down some gusty winds outside of thunderstorms for that matter as well. Here we are Thursday evening dealing with some more of that wet weather, and it's going to be adding up to a good clip over the next 3 days, adding up to around 5 to 7+ inches, which could lead to some flooding concerns across Kentucky and into the Tennessee Valley as well. Elsewhere, we're looking at a mainly dry and much warmer forecast, but be sure to have multiple ways of receiving severe weather alerts.
For the first time since their return to Earth, NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore are speaking out about their 9 months in space.
Pretty honored and humbled by the fact of when we came home, like, wow, there are a lot of people who are interested, very thankful, very amazed that we could hopefully be one positive element to bring people together.
And then you couple that with a nation that comes together and it cares about the human spaceflight program and prays for us and what's taking place. It goes beyond understanding, honestly.
Despite the issues, both veteran test pilots say they would fly on Starliner again. A successful liftoff in Florida last night as SpaceX launches its From 2 crew to the polar regions. Spectrum's Greg Pallone tells us why the mission is so important.
A mission like we've never seen before. People flying over Earth's poles from space for the first time ever, a 90-degree circular orbit. We've never seen this type of mission. The From 2 is well on its way, an all-civilian crew heading up for 3 to 5 days to study the poles like never before. And it all began with a launch from Kennedy Space Center. This is what we saw at 9:46 p.m. from the Space Coast.
3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff. Copy, 1 Alpha.
SpaceX Falcon 9 blasting off from pad 39A here at the Kennedy Space Center. On board, Chung Wang, Yannicka Mikkelsen, the first German female astronaut, Arabia Roga, and Eric Phillips. All civilians, although have something in common. They have been to or have studied or researched our poles. They are passionate about the poles. They are the ideal crew for this mission, which will last 3 to 5 days due to the amount of radiation that is seen there. But the mission well underway. Talk a little bit more about it in just a moment, but this is what we saw just moments after liftoff.
First stage vehicle 4.
We've now got video on first stage. Landing burn has begun. And a view from the drone ship. Legs are deployed. And touchdown after 6 flights.
Falcon 9 first stage booster successfully landing on a short fall of Gravitas drone ship out in the Atlantic. This will be the last time that happens, at least for the Crew Dragon, Resilience, and other spacecraft. They'll be moving over to the Pacific Ocean for splashdowns, that due to the Crew Dragon's trunk having some issues landing on land over our way here on the East Coast. A lot more ocean to work with in the Pacific, so they'll be splashing down there in future missions. From at least, means forward in Norwegian. The first ship was named that. Ground explorers explored the poles way back in the late 1800s. So this is the second mission to explore the poles from a whole new height. We'll, of course, be following along this mission and pass along any updates all the way through splashdown. At the Kennedy Space Center, Greg Pallone, Spectrum News.
And we are moving forward with our Spectrum News in 90 right after this short break. And don't forget, you can always stay connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Stay with us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
It's game time at the arena, and 20,000 fans are looking for a win. With an ultra-high-speed network and seamless Wi-Fi, fans can get in the door fast and share the game's best moments in real time. And with Spectrum Business committed to keeping them connected 100% of the time, they won't miss a second of the action. A secure, reliable connection from Spectrum Business means the fan experience is a guaranteed win.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back. To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to
with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels,
That's a love we can all fight for.
Women are bad with money. That's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now we've got something to say.
Save it. It's time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Until we're no longer 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
Save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault.
Then, the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at WeSaySaveIt.org.